It has nothing to do with disabilities.
In nearly every instance I see, the term derp has been synonymous with clumsiness and making mistakes, screwing up or goofing, as opposed to actually being stupid or retarded.
Like, there's something wrong with her, just if you have a disability, you don't have the right to be on a television show.
In behalf of Bronies and Webster's Dictionary, I'm deeply sorry you are easily offended at words that you don't even know the meaning to.
I just don't know what went wrong.
Okay, picture this. It's mid-October 2010. To many watching, this date may hold some level of significance as it's the month that My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was aired. But where were you specifically? Well, some could say that they were on 4chan discussing a certain background pony, one that was gray and had seemingly misdrawn eyes. Many of you will point out that this is Derpy Hooves, a pony you know all too well. Today, she is seen as an icon within the Brony community. In fact, if you've been in the fandom for any amount of time, you probably know exactly who I'm talking about. But despite being just a background character, she's left a substantial hoofprint in not only the show itself, but the community's history. But before this video properly starts, hello everypony, my name is Lyrie, and I make bi-weekly documentaries exploring the world of My Little Pony and its respective community. Be sure to stay tuned into my channel for future videos, as I plan to be doing YouTube for quite some time. Thank you, and enjoy your time here. Now, where was I? Ah yes, Derpy's story begins on October 25th of 2010, on 4chan, if you could believe that. That's right, this meme that would be shared with young and older fans of the show, being mainly used in wholesome contexts, began on 4chan of all places. Well, you know what? Celestia Bless Equestria, that's amazing. It was found by a user named Dr. Foreigner. But that raises the question of how did this even happen at all? I mean, the show itself had a lot of animation mistakes, especially in its earlier seasons, both big and small, but why was a background pony with misdrawn eyes so significant? She wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. She was supposed to be covered up by another pony. But despite all of this, she's still seen today as an icon. But my only question is, why? Well, I'll try to answer this to the best of my ability. 3 words: fan-made content. Of course, if you've been in the Brony community for any amount of time, there's a good chance you've probably seen a lot of fan animations, comics, and dubs, songs, stories, videos, documentaries like this one, and other things. I won't go into detail for the sake of age restriction and my own and all of your sanity. You're welcome, by the way. But the thing that makes Derpy so special is the fact that she was either one of or the first piece of all that fan-made content. I can't confirm since it's pretty hard to check 4chan, Reddit, and forums from 2010, but I am willing to wager she is the first. But why would fan-made content even matter, you may ask? Every show has it, but it goes deeper than that. This is the first little Brony Easter egg that made it into the actual show. Derpy was featured all over Season 1, which I believe at the time most of the fandom thought as the writers and animators giving back to the community in the form of fan service. With Derpy being featured in the background a lot more people were introduced and posted about it online, which resulted in talented content creators making art pieces and videos about her. Minor note, my personal favorite video about Derpy around this time was Bubbles by Fimflam Philosophy. This resulted in even more people figuring out about her, and the cycle just continued from there. To think this all happened because a bunch of bronies on 4chan of all places found a background character, made her lore, and effectively wrote her into the show. So, in a way, it showed the Brony community they were in a lot more control as opposed to other fandoms in other shows. This was all well and good. Everyone in the fandom knew about and adored Derpy Hooves. She had become a staple in the community. No pun intended. Everything ran smoothly like clockwork. Derpy had become somewhat of a Where's Waldo and served as a reference to those who got it. And to every party involved, nothing bad could ever happen to this innocent and harmless pony who liked muffins and had bubbles for a cutie mark. That was only featured in the background of the show until Bronies kept getting spoiled with more and more Derpy, but eventually the writers made one critical mistake. In Season 2, Episode 14, the writers decided to give Derpy a speaking role for the very first time, voiced by Tabitha Germain, who wasn't aware Derpy was supposed to be depicted as female, so for the voice she based it on a, quote, neighbor's son. I'd imagine that played some part in the creation of this clip, which I will show you now.
Huh? Now, careful, Derpy! I don't want to do any more damage than you've already done. I just don't know what went wrong. Yeah, it's a mystery. Nice work, Rainbow Dad! You okay, Rainbow Dad? Anything I can do to help? No, nothing. In the name of Celestia, just sit there and do nothing. My bad.
Well, I'll admit, when I first watched that clip a few years ago, I didn't think that it would even have that big of an impact, and right now, personally, I don't find it very offensive. Well, of course, in the context of the show, but out of context, I guess I can see how some found it offensive. Some viewers of the episode found the scene with Derpy offensive against disabled people. The day the episode aired, a poll was made that stated 69 out of 600 viewers of the episode thought that Derpy was mentally disabled, while the other 531 believes she was simply clumsy. To be fair, as much as I personally don't agree with the poll's results, I do agree with the message itself. Granted, this shouldn't have even happened, considering it was a pony in a children's show that only had one scene, but I digress. As I was saying before, I think the question that the poll should have been trying to answer was, is Derpy offensive against the disabled? Is she ableist? But apparently this was more than enough to warrant the re-release of that episode with the Derpy scene altered slightly, which I will show you now.
Now careful. You don't want to do any more damage than you've already done. I just don't know what went wrong. Yeah, it's a mystery. Nice work, Rainbow Dash! You okay, Rainbow Dash? Anything I can do to help? No, nothing. In the name of Celestia, just sit there and do nothing.
Now, as you can see, there is a big difference between this and the original. Now, did this make an impact on the episode in the grand scheme of things? No, not at all. It would just made the scene less funny overall, in my opinion. And before I continue, I'd like to say I don't blame Lauren Faust or anyone in the cast or crew of Friendship is Magic for the edit. I'm sure they didn't even think the clip could be even considered ableist when they released the episode, and they edited it just to avoid controversy, which I actually think is fair, considering the show is, to some extent, made for children. Also, minor side note, I'd like to point out that this was around the time that Gamergate was in its peak of relevance, so censorship at this time was a massive controversial topic that everyone seemed to want to talk about. While I'm sure this did have some influence on the Brony community's backlash to some extent, it's also hard to believe that I'm talking about politics and My Little Pony in the very same video. The world we live in. Again, Celestia bless Equestria. Anyway, as I was saying, the Brony community was not at all happy about the scene, and they were more than willing to show their concerns and, more accurately, criticisms of removing the scene. Saying the community wasn't happy about this is a major understatement. They were, for lack of a better term, fuck. They were absolutely ready to fully. In fact, they started up an entire movement, the Derpygate movement. This movement was spearheaded by a bunch of videos made by many different YouTubers. There were tributes, videos, entire essays about how stupid censoring a pony in a children's show is. I must say, seeing the entire brony community come together on one thing is very wholesome and really does go to show how much the whole fandom love Derpy Hooves. Because, like I said in Chapter 1, she was the first spark of creativity for the community, so when you take that away, it'll make viewers think, what else can they take away? Which is why I think there was so much backlash in the first place. In fact, if you type Derpygate on YouTube now, you'll see a handful of videos that are all effectively saying the same thing, but in a slightly different way. Some stated it was offensive to ban Derpy because of her disability, which may be perceived as telling the disabled they can't be on a TV show because of their disabilities. Some stated the entire thing was stupid to ban a pony from a children's show of all things. Some stated she wasn't disabled at all and she was just clumsy. But the general message was more than clear, that the community wanted Derpy back this instant and they wouldn't rest until she's back. Hi, Lyrie and Post here. I accidentally cut out something from the final script that was important, and that is what derp actually means. According to Google today, it means meaningless or stupid, which is kind of ironic if you consider the controversy is just that. But at this time, the term derp was seen and used against the disabled, but there were many bronies who made videos and articles denying the statement. I apologize for the random Lyrie and Post session, by the way, but I figured I'd at least try and give some context on why people were upset about Derpy being the name, since I didn't really clarify it in any other section. Now, back to our scheduled program. Remember earlier in the video when I said not to go after the writers or the producers of the show? Well, here's why. An email from the writer of the last roundup said verbatim that she sympathized with the brony community, but she was also against the spread of the term derpy, to not have children adopt the term, which, thinking about it now, over 10 years later, I actually think is fair. It also said to stop spreading hate since the entire point of the show was to spread the magic of friendship. Now, did this email get bronies to stop their pro-derpy campaign? No, not even close. Although I did see a substantial shift in the form of videos. Rather than just being rants on how dumb banning Derpy is, videos seem to go into a more emotional area, begging Derpy to make a return. Little did they know they'll get their wish granted soon enough. Around the time of Derpygate, artists, as a form of tribute, made arts depicting Derpy Hooves and Dr. Hooves, another fan-made character, being close, in unfortunately more ways than one. I'll leave you with that piece of information as I direct your attention to the 100th episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, a slice of life, which fans were very happy to see Derpy back with another background pony. From this point onwards, Derpy would make small appearances in the background. In fact, in one instance, she was shown to have gotten eye surgery. I like to imagine she can eat muffins faster with her newfound sight. Before this video ends, I'd like to give some of my personal thoughts on the subject. I personally do not find Derpy Hooves offensive in any way. That being said, I can see how some people would. However, I wouldn't exactly say I'm personally disabled, so I'm not in the best position to say much of anything due to my lack of experience. So I will introduce some pony who has their own experiences. The remainder of this video will feature Turtletum. I've talked about them on my channel before, they are my first commenter ever, and they are another MLP content creator who makes similar content to mine. Please go show them support as they have just hit 100 subscribers as the date of me recording this. As for me, I will see every pony in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Derpy is a character that I didn't really relate to until recently. Although I haven't been professionally diagnosed yet, I still believe that autistic people like myself can identify themselves in any character in Friendship is Magic. However, Derpy is kinda obvious to spot that she's disabled, both physically and mentally. My favorite moment in the holiday special Best Gift Ever is Derpy is more relatable now than I thought she'd be, and I wish that the battle with her character being censored for a while just seemed nation wasn't correct. Since figuring out more about my neurodivergent life, really ableist altogether. I'm so happy that Derpy was finally able to be herself again and help others see themselves in her. In the brony community, many people don't just love Derpy for her quirky personality and clumsy behavior. I met a few autistic bronies that have said to me how much Derpy is a character that changed their lives. That's what characters should do, no matter how old a person is watching MOP. Derpy was harmless and is definitely not worth complaining about, and I love her.